Hi guys, welcome back to Ironside Ranch, and you want to start a business. Okay, so starting that business, we all have these ideas of side hustles, and so if we're becoming self-sufficient, one of the best things that we can do is having our own business, whether we continue to work in the corporate world or wherever, having some type of side income that we can make money from. Those are important, and everybody has a skill that they can put out there to be able to do that. This is not something that you have to go to school for. This is something that you already possess. You have some way of getting out there and crushing it and starting a side hustle. You just have to be creative enough to think about it. You've got your idea in mind, so whatever that idea is, let's talk about how to get this set up. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not an accountant. So you need to talk to those people about setting this up properly in your area and what specifically goes in there. That's not just my legal disclaimer. I do truly believe that you should have a lawyer and an accountant in your corner. We have both for our businesses, and we have a special business attorney, and you want to make sure that you have that in place to be able to help you get your documentation drawn up correctly. Here's the reality of it, is that most of those documents, as far as getting started, you can take care of without that stuff in place. And every business lawyer out there is going to tell you that you need to go file your LLC, pay them $1,500 to do it. And I've filed LLCs in many states, guys, and generally you can go onto the Secretary of State's website, you can file the paperwork yourself. You need the lawyer to draft the agreement, the articles of incorporation and all that stuff for you, but you don't need them generally to file the paperwork. Usually there's a small Secretary of State filing fee, maybe a county filing fee, and sometimes a name reservation or something like that. But usually you can do that all on your own. A couple $100. It's not terribly expensive. I know here in Alabama we can do it for about $200. Very, very cheap. And then you have different options of setting up that LLC. This is where you do need a little bit of legal advice for it to figure out exactly what option. Good thing is that on the state's website, it'll usually have a disclaimer telling you exactly what those options are. Because if you're an LLC in a certain types of profession, if you're a doctor's office, you have different types of LLCs. But as a general rule, there's going to be 3 that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to do an LLC S Corp, LLC C Corp, and LLC partnership. Those tend to be about the most common for small businesses. S Corp has advantages, but you do have to pay yourself a paycheck. So if it's a business like our farm is not in an S Corp because it takes a while to set this up, and it takes a couple of years before we create the cash flow where we want to start taking a paycheck. So we just take a paycheck once a year from the farm, and then the rest of the money stays in there. So I can't have it as an S Corp because I have to be able to take a monthly paycheck. Our other business, our inspection business, is in an S Corp because we do take a monthly paycheck from that, and so do all the owners. So those are a little bit different businesses and a little bit different strategies. There are tax differences between them, and so that is something that you do want to get with an accountant prior to filing your paperwork. Figure out exactly what you want to file it as. Once you get some of the basics down, you can open as many LLCs as you want because you'll understand it. Alabama has something called a series LLC, which I believe there's 4 states to date that do that, but others are adding it. But a series LLC allows us to build other LLCs inside one business, which makes it very simple if you have a multifaceted business, like our farm here, right? We have our firing range, we have our cows, we have our pigs, we have, if we do custom grazing, we have logging, we have all these different things that we can do, and all those things basically fall under their own business category. All I got to do is pull out an EIN for each of them, and we can file that under the LLC. That's a specific thing to Alabama and a specific thing to, like I said, I think there's 3 other states that allow that right now. But your state, if it doesn't allow the series LLC, then a standard LLC is probably going to be what you want to look at. Again, it's a quick consultation with a lawyer to figure out exactly which one you want. Minimal charge, and a quick consultation with a accountant to figure out what you want. Most lawyers and accountants that do this for a living will probably give you those consultations for free because they want your business later on. I know our business lawyer, I can call him anytime I want. He'll give me some free advice as a general rule because he does all of our documentation, everything. He makes enough money from us. He doesn't nickel and dime us, and that's kind of the relationship we're looking for. So forming that LLC and that getting that accountant relationship is very important. Now, Steve Harvey has a theory, and he says that I shouldn't say he has a theory. He did an interview once that I watched that he displayed this theory on there, where get out there, make $5,000, and then go take care of that paperwork and junk. Don't necessarily feel like you have to get that done all right away. There's some truth to that, but if you get sued right away, you screw up somebody's job site or something like that, that can create some problems. So that's decent advice, I guess, and makes some logical sense, but there are some problems with it. So it's so inexpensive to do. I tell people just get the LLC pulled out right away. I was consulting with a guy the other day, starting a handyman service here, and I was talking to him about everything that he needs to do to get started, and that's exactly what I told him. I said, I realize that you don't have this stuff yet, but go pull this out. And when you pull that out, you want to be able, there's something called piercing the corporate veil, and everybody gets very scared about this, and it can be, depending on the state you're in, very hard to do or very easy to do. But the big thing with piercing the corporate veil is if you don't keep your finances separate from your business finances, then it's very easy to pierce that corporate veil. So the corporate veil, what that means is that the LLC, everybody thinks, oh, I have an LLC, I can't personally be sued. It's not true if they pierce the corporate veil. So what you want to make sure that you're doing is that all of your bank accounts for your business are separate from the bank accounts of your personal life. So we use separate banks entirely. Each business has a separate bank, so we don't use the same bank for any one business. And then our personal accounts are completely separate because I want to make sure that, for one, if the IRS audits me, it's very easy, and we have all the documentation there for everything, and that there's no confusion with it. The other thing that we want to make sure of is we want to make sure that there's no way for them, that we want to take every possible excuse they can use to pierce that corporate veil, and keeping your finances separate is one of the easiest ways to get past that. So, keeping your finances together is one of the easiest ways for a lawyer to get past that. Let me put it that way. So you want to make sure that you have that corporate veil separate from the, that you have that business bank account separate. When you start, you can start with just one business bank account. As you grow, you can add accounts. You can have a savings account, a tax account, a payroll account, a general checking. You can have a marketing account. You can do whatever you want. You can have a bunch of different accounts to make your organization easy. But when it's just a side hustle, you really only need one or two. Okay, guys, so that's really about it. I just wanted to cover the basics of getting your LLC established and getting your formations and your taxes done correctly, who to talk to and how to figure that out. You don't want to do your taxes through like an H&R Block, right? You want to avoid that. You want to actually go to a tax accountant, or even better yet, a business tax strategist. Now, those are hard to find. We have one here in Birmingham, and he's awesome. He works with our accountant to kind of figure things out and tell us where we're at, and what we need to do. So you definitely need that to get things established, but you don't need to pay what's that Nevada corporation that does it for like $1,500, way too expensive. You can file the LLC paperwork yourself. And as a general rule, you do want that filed in-state. There's some people that feel like, oh, I need to file it in Delaware or Nevada or wherever these big corporations do. There's advantages to doing that, but the advantages are far outweighed by the convenience of having everything local, because you have to file domestic or foreign, and foreign LLCs take a lot more paperwork. It's a lot more complicated, and it's really not as big a deal as they want to sell you it is, because they want to sell you to buy their service. So bottom line is get a good lawyer and find a decent accountant that'll work with you on getting things set up, but you don't need to pay them necessarily to get things set up for you. You're fully capable of doing that yourself. It's a lot more expensive to pay them to do it, and they'll give you the advice that you need because, again, they want your business going on. Y'all want to make sure you have all your documentation in a row, your minutes for your LLCs, all your waivers in line, and your operating agreement and everything set up correctly. So your operating agreement is not near as important when it's just you, if you're a single member LLC. So a lot of times you can print that off online, and it doesn't cost you anything. The minutes is, again, another way to keep that corporate veil from not being pierced. So that's something that we do want to try to do as much preventative protection as we can possibly put on there. Guys, I really appreciate y'all watching. I know, like I said, this is a homesteading channel, so we talk about everything from canning to gardening to business development, learning how to do those side hustles. And so we are going to have this business series going out. I know it's not the most interesting topic, and if you're not interested at all in starting a video, this is probably pretty dry for you. But for those of you that are getting a video or a business started, they should hopefully have some benefit in kind of teaching you some basic nuts and bolts. Again, not a lawyer, not an accountant, and I have no certifications whatsoever. I'm just a guy that's been running successful businesses for a while, and I'm showing you what I've done and what's been successful for me. So really appreciate y'all watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Share these videos. If you know other people that are trying to start a business, trying to get their side hustle started, please share the video with them and let them know about this so we can get this information out there. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Really does help us out, and I really do appreciate that. So thanks again, guys.